Legend of War here, and today we've got a rating your Doomstack video covering a Heralds of Ariel Treekin Doomstack with Durthu as a tree singer. So these guys here have the regen trait, so they'll be able to regenerate throughout the battle. Now, normally I don't like Treekin at all. I really quite hate them, and I'd much prefer Tree Men over Treekin. But he's done a lot of things here to boost them. They've got 20% ward save, 40% physical resistance, 30% missile resistance, and 45% fire resistance. So that's pretty heavy duty. Going up against Attain, they've got one army here that's pretty dangerous, and then two armies that are not as dangerous. Just loads of spearmen in there, so whatever. Okay, so Auto Resolve says it's going to be heroic victory, but we'll test it out and see how well it does. This is the sort of army that, you know, Wood Elves shouldn't struggle with too much under normal circumstances if you've gone with a Tree Man army. But I've seen Treekin do terrible jobs against it, so, you know, we'll see how we go. Now, there's a lot of things about this army to note, but I'll just go throughout the battle because it's not going to be micro-intensive. That's one of the good things about the Tree Men Doomstack, is that it's not micro-intensive at all, so any idiot can use it, which is actually a plus. Like, Doomstacks that are super difficult to use, like, why even bother telling you guys about it? Like, you're just not going to be able to... I'm not saying you won't be able to use it, but you'll use it. Some people will use it and get, like, terrible results, and then be like, this Doomstack sucks! It's like, yes, I know. But easy ones, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's super easy, because you don't have to do anything, you just sit there. So what we want to do is put them in the forest, and maybe stand back a little bit. That way, any archers over here will just shoot loads of trees. Now, another thing to note is that he has picked up the Sword of Cain as Durthu. And I know people are sick of the Sword of Cain, and so am I. Look, here's the thing. If you're sending me a Rate Your Doomstack video, there are only a very small number of situations where I will give you, like, a bonus or a thumbs up for picking up the Sword of Cain. And if you're playing Wood Elves, you should never, ever, ever, never, 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 ever, never, never pick up the Sword of Cain. Never, under any circumstance, should you ever pick it up. I don't care what difficulty you're playing it on. If you're sending this in for me to rate it, and you're playing Wood Elves, and you pick up the Sword of Cain, I'm going to drop off points for doing that, because you've done something stupid. The reason for that is, we just need to wait for them to come over here, they're advancing. The reason for that is because the advantage that it provides Wood Elves is so minuscule, and the penalties that it that they inflict are so massive that it makes no sense to do it. Sure, you've managed to give Durthu a bit of extra ward save, but this isn't a one-man Doomstack, right? This is you're relying on these other units. Durthu doesn't need to tank the entire army. Giving him 10 to 30% extra ward save, or 20 to 30% extra ward save, is unnecessary. Getting this ability here is unnecessary because we have plenty of magic, and also his Sword of Death is incredibly powerful. So you've switched out something that was incredibly powerful for something that's incredibly powerful, but it's also coming with a lot of penalties. Now, the Wood Elves, the three penalties that the Sword of Cain inflicts cripple the Wood Elves. They need those three things. Public Order. Their tree settlements tend, at least on legendary difficulties, tend to gravitate towards mostly rebelling most of the time, because there's not much you can do to actually increase the public order of Wood Elf settlements. So reducing it further means that you're probably going to have revolts more often, which isn't a good thing. Unless you really like fighting lots of battles manually every single turn, lots of rebellions manually. The next thing is increasing upkeep costs. Now, because of the way the Wood Elf economy works, they don't make a lot of money, so they have to rely very heavily on reducing upkeep costs. Now, having a 10% penalty on all of your armies means that as you expand throughout the campaign, that penalty is going to be heavier and heavier inflicted on you. Okay, I need to dodge this stuff a little bit, it seems. So you're going to be paying thousands extra for your troops, and you're not going to be able to justify it, because it's not going to provide you thousands of gold worth of value. It's just a waste of money. And then the next thing, and this is probably the worst one that it does to you as the Wood Elves, is the minus 10 to 40 diplomatic relations with all factions. If you want to play a good Wood Elf campaign, you need to have other races like you for at least some point of the campaign, right? because you are not in a position at any given time to fight every single race simultaneously. Now, if you have the -40 penalty, then the Order Tide is going to hate you, especially if you've also got great power penalty, which is just bound to happen throughout the campaign, right? So you're going to have a harder time keeping them friendly, and you could end up at war with them because you've picked up the Sword of Cain. And when you end up in a lot of wars, it has a snowballing effect where factions will start declaring war on you because you're at war with so many people, and it could cripple your campaign. So basically, long story short, is if you pick up the Sword of Cain, I'm gonna fucking penalize you for it, okay? Don't do it. Stop doing it, okay? I'm not impressed when you pick up the Sword of Cain as the Wood Elves. So we're not going to utilize Durthu one bit. I'll use his abilities, but I don't want him to be in melee, and I don't want him to use the Sword of Cain ability. Now, he's also sent the email that he wants me to test it without using Dwellers Below. That's basically just here to speed it up, and that's fair enough. Okay, I won't use Dwellers Below then, because that would speed things up a lot, for sure. Basically, we wanted to see how tanky these guys are, and how much they can handle. Thing is, though, when I create a tree man doom stack, the whole reason that it works so well is that you put them in the forest. Actually, we should be using this. You put them in the forest, and everyone clumps up around them, and then you cast loads of spells to eradicate loads of infantry, and then the treemen can take out dragons really easily, or whatever it is. Single entity monsters are becoming. So, if we were going to compare like with like, and I'm going to compare this to a treeman doom stack, I would use Dwellers Below, but I have specific instructions not to use it. Sort of. So should I just not use any spells then? So just focusing on buff spells for the time being. Maybe I could use Durthu's Flock of Doom. Flock of Doom is pretty good. I used to shit on it, but it's actually pretty good. You know. I'm not wrong about things a lot, but sometimes I am. So, pretty resilient so far. Thing is, this is also increasing their damage output as well, so that's pretty good. Seems like he's leveled up Durthu to be a melee lord, but in my opinion, you only need a couple of points to make Durthu super strong in his melee line. You probably should have put points into his magic, even if just to put 2 points into Flock of Doom. I think that's just getting hit by single entities. Some of them are just going to die. That's the big disadvantage of having Treekin over Treemen. See, if a Treeman goes all the way down to, like, say, 50 hit points, you can bring him all the way back to nearly full health, because there's obviously a regen cap. But when these guys here die, you can't bring them back to life. And when one of them dies, they lose combat potential. Because it's another entity that's not inflicting this weapon strength. That's actually quite a lot of weapon strength. So trying to keep Durthu out of it as much as possible. I know I got all these special abilities here, but we're here to test the Treekin. And so far, you know what? I'm not displeased with them. Do more damage to his own units with that. Ariel's having a little bit of a hard time there. Maybe just move him back over here. Oh, they've got even more fire resistance because there's a wildfire aura. I'm not sure where that's coming, but that's really good. You know, there's a few flaming stuff over here. Durthu's going to inflict the most damage just because of the Flock of Doom. Like, oh my god, it's really good. Yeah. I could use the Dwellers Below. We're not really taking much damage. Like, this is not a difficult army to use at all, which is good. Which is good. You can sit back and relax for the most part. Panic. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep Durthu out of it, but sometimes the AI is just going to go for him. I can't do anything about that. Could use Soul Stealer. That'll do about the same amount of damage as a Flock of Doom, while also regenerating her health. It's also decent against single entities. So let's just see how much damage that does. Actually, I'd say Flock of Doom probably does more damage. But it's good because it regens her as well. So yeah, we're not under any serious pressure here at all. We've only taken 1 casualty so far, and I think it's because of, like, probably Tyrion, like, pounding down on them, because Tyrion's in there. Somewhere. Zoom in a little bit. Okay, taking a few casualties now. Well, like 2. Also got these. Might as well use it. Also got this. I'll just hold on to it. We don't need it.
Yours to command.
So is that Tyrion there? Okay. So how much damage has Tyrion actually done to her? 4,000 damage. Well, we just regenerated it. What about those dragons? Alistair has dealt out. He's actually dealt out a lot of damage, but just regenerated really quickly. How are they going for kills? Oh, is this the one that does got the Right, yeah, this one's got the wildfire aura. That's where it's coming from. Oh, okay. That's good. Yeah, good number of kills among them all. Nope, not what I want to do. So how much damage did that end up doing to us? Yeah, nothing, really. I think I've taken 3 casualties so far.
Battle ready.
I miss being able to use all my abilities all at once. Now you gotta wait for them all to do them one at a time. Because of the recent patch. I think that was a mistake for CA to do that. But that was clearly there to get rid of the infinite magic exploit. There's still other infinite magic exploits now. No, sorry, there aren't infinite magic exploits, but there's still ways to fake cast. There is an infinite magic exploit, but it's way trickier to use now. I don't even bother with it. Alright. Bounty powers looking good. If we have a look here, we've eliminated nearly 3,000 of them. The army also shouldn't be too far away now. I suppose Ariel's really good in Durthu's army because she does reduce the Winds of Magic cost of all spells by 1 in the Lord's army. So he already gets like Withstand's Wild Form really cheap. Well, I don't think it's sealed up that way. And Pan's Impenetrable Pelt. So if you do it right, you might be able to cast it nearly for free. Withstand Wild Form, that's not great. It's alright, I guess. I guess that's the big thing with Beast Magic, is that it doesn't really have amazing... how do I put this? Like, you know how there's like two groups of magic that when you're leveling up the Lord, there's the first group, it's all like the basic spells, and then the second group is like all the advanced spells. And most Lords of Magic have got like at least one good advanced spell, but Beast Magic doesn't. It's like Transformation of Kadon sucks, and the other one is I can't remember what it's called, but I know what it does. It's the one that slows units down and lowers their melee attack. It's a debuff. They're not great, but the early stuff, which is Flock of Doom and Panzer Repel, are actually fairly decent. Yeah, super easy army to use. I can just sit back and relax now. I don't need to do anything. Let's just hurry this up. Yeah, Tyrion, I've only taken like 5 kills. I think he's been the one to kill all the units in this. Because, yeah, his magic attack will bypass all of our massive physical resistance. Durthu probably could have taken him out very quickly, but like I said, because you picked up the Sword of Cain, I'm refusing to send him into melee. Which I don't think he's going to mind too much about. Could do Word of Pain to slow him down a little bit. But I'll still use his Flock of Doom because the Sword of Cain doesn't augment Flock of Doom at all, or his spells. It only augments him in melee, which is why I'm refusing to use him in melee. That way we're making absolutely no use of Sword of Cain at all. Oh wow, this one here has nearly regenerated all of its possible regen. It must be the one that's fighting Tyrion. I'll see if I can move. Oh yeah, it is the one at the front. I'll move it back. There's some over here that are probably... Yeah, that one's barely taking any damage. It was a bit lopsided. Alright, army losses should be soon. Yeah, I tell you what, using Dwellers Below would have sped this up by a lot. And since we're at the missile cap, we don't even have to worry about their archers. Berry wine as well. Alright, there we go. And it looks like Tyrion gets away. So, yeah, he was big. He was fine the entire time. Jeez. I mean, Tyrion's always a pain, so that's to be expected. But you know what? Color me impressed. The Treekin. Look at this. 500 kill. Yeah, color me impressed. They did a really good job. Now, is that better than Tree Men? Probably not. Because Tree Men can get just as much resistance. And them... with Tree Men, they have a higher hit point pool, so that means they get more regen. And their combat potential doesn't go down at all until they actually die. Whereas, you know, as you take casualties, you're dishing out less damage. But at the same time, that did way better than I expected it would. So I'll have a look at how it's been set up and evaluate it. But yeah, I normally hate Treekin, but that did very well. Gotta give it that, he did a good job with it. But it was also kind of an ideal situation where it had, you know, loads of trees. It's a forested area, well, and that's fine, I suppose. With those kind of doom stacks, with the wood elves, you can, most of the time, ensure that you can put yourself into trees, even if you're in the desert. Because what you can do is just put yourself in the world root stance. So, I'm not here to evaluate the campaign. I don't give a crap. Alright, where are you? You're over here. Okay. Let's have a look at this. So, first thing, put the Sword of Cain away. That's the first thing. Alright, so... it's only thirsting, so it's not that bad right now, but put that fucking thing away. It's just disgusting. Get rid of it. I probably You know why we didn't get rid of Tyrion? Because we had the Banner of Eternal Flame. Because he's super fire resistant. Yeah, look, having flaming attack against the High Elves is... we should have taken that off. We would have done way more damage. Like none of their units are weak against fire. Why did we have that on? Whatever, it's too late. Now, we still won, but that's why Tyrion was able to keep fighting, because he was just as resilient as we were. Just because of this Well, that one there does flaming attack, but none of these guys here would have otherwise. Okay. So they have 10 ward save and 10 physical resistance there. Alright, let's have a look at how he's been leveled up. Alright. Yeah, Sword of Death is good. You should definitely put that on Sword of Cain. Yeah, so you get extra armor piercing weapon damage for Treekin with that. Ward save for Treekin units. That's something that, yeah, he doesn't get for the Tree Men. They don't get that extra ward save. But there was also Ward Bark here. That provides the Treekin. And this one, that provides ward save during forest battles. Now, I think that counted as a forest battle because we did have 20% ward save on these units. So I think that counted. But they're currently sitting in here with 40% physical resistance. Right? And the Shield of Isha, it says physical resistance +5 during forest battles, Hero's Army. I don't know if that applied because we were at 40% physical resistance. So it's hard to tell with that one, to be honest. Alright, now looking at the traits of these branch race, he's got Resplendence of Luminescence. That's good. Reducing the magic resistance by 25% local enemy armies. That's great. That actually really helped against Tyrion because he normally has a lot of magic resistance, right? But he's also got tons of fire resistance, so that's where he got us. And this one over here is also Resplendent of Luminescence. I don't think it was necessary. If we take this one out, Tyrion still doesn't have any magic resistance, because, yeah, his... Where is it? Yeah, it provides him 18% there, with the Heart of Avalon. This one here is physical, fire, and ward save. Yeah, there's very few situations where you really need to have minus 50% magic resistance in local enemy armies. Because here's the thing, it doesn't drop it down below 0%. If you have a look at any of these units here, this is a big misconception. And CA really should make it a bit clearer with these descriptions. No unit here, like if it was weak against magic, it would say minus 50%, you know, resistance to magic. Now, because this ability is applied on the campaign map, when you go into the battlefield, it doesn't make any difference. They don't take 50% more damage from all of your magic attacks. So that trait is redundant. Having one of them is fine because it's not... There's also the Resplendence of Luminescence ability, which is, let me see, where is it? This one here. Which provides extra melee attack and extra weapon strength. That's good. But putting a second one in there doesn't double it. It just doesn't stack. So if you're going to put two branch wraiths in there with the hope of putting their traits down, there's two other ones that you could do. Oh, it's actually three. There's another one that provides Greater Arcane Conduit, as long as they're in the forest, I think. That's really good. Then there's the one that does a debuff. So it's like this, except it... No, not that one. It's like this, but in reverse. So it's like -5 melee attack, but for the enemy, and reduces their melee damage. So that's really good. Stacking with this, making your units fight better and their units fight worse. And then there's also the Murder of Spites one, which is basically a Mortis engine. Also really good. Send them into melee, they just kill tons of them without effort to cast anything. So I definitely agree with putting like maybe two branch wraiths in an army, especially if you're going to use treatment. It's very good. Aerial's just straight up good all around, so I'm not going to have any problems with that. Putting a Spellsinger of Life, not really necessary since you've got aerial there, but totally fine with that as well. No downside to it. What's the trait? Yep, that's fine. Melee attack during forest battles, that's fine. And then, looking at some Aderthu stuff here, yeah, so we've gone down the melee line here. Impenetrable Bark is a waste, I think. Deadly Onslaught's not needed. I think at the very least getting Flock of Doom and Wild Heart is good. Yeah, Curse of Vandra here. That was that spell that I was talking about. I just couldn't remember the name. That's not too bad, but the problem here is it doesn't have like a super good damaging spell in this area here. And I've definitely underrated Flock of Doom in the past. It is very good, especially if you get it really cheap. So if you can get that cost down with, putting 2 points to it, so that'll reduce the Winds of Magic cost down by 1. And then Aerial should be reducing it as well with Winds of Magic cost minus 10% all spells for Hero's Army. Yeah, there it is there. So that's really useful. But overall, rating this. Okay. You're losing 1 whole point for picking up the Sword of Cain. So whatever the score is, if you didn't have the Sword of Cain, just add on an extra point. I'm going to rate this 8.5 out of 10. Which means if... which is a very high score, considering it had -1 from the Sword of Cain. Meaning if you didn't have the Sword of Cain, I'd rate this at 9.5 out of 10. I'd say this was very, very good. Especially considering it was Treekin. But I'd still gravitate towards going Treeman. But if we had a look at this, how easy is it to replace Treekin compared to Treeman? I'm just curious. Is it easier? It is easier. So I guess one advantage to doing this, specifically with Durthu, is... Let me have a look at it actually. Looking at Treekin, Treeman. So... See, they got 40% physical resistance as well. They just don't have that extra ward save. Right. Right. But yeah, I do massively prefer Treeman over. But it is also more expensive, quite significantly, yeah. So I'm going to give it 9.5 if it didn't have Sword of Cain, because it is cheaper than the Treeman Doomstack. This is pretty much beat anything. As long as you've got some trees to hide in, that would be very helpful. But even if you didn't, you've got enough Winds of Magic being generated that you'd have to really be in a shit situation, like in the desert, going up against like a Necrosphinx spam, which is just super rare. So yeah, I think 9.5 out of 10, but not 10 out of 10, because I feel like there are a few situations that it just can't handle, and you can do... There's just a few things I think that can be done better, and it's just not the best unit in your roster. But, 9.5 is a pretty good score. It's almost top score. But yeah, definitely get rid of the Sword of Cain, and get a different trait for this one here, because it's just redundant. Because his trait wasn't doing anything in that battle at all. Anyway, that's the end of this one here, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think of it. I was very impressed by the amount of effort that went into this. It was good. It's definitely good. There's a few things that were just a little bit inefficient. Like I said, the Banner of the Eternal Flame was why we couldn't kill Tyrion at all, because we were all... You shouldn't go into Ulth 1 with all flaming attacks. That's a silly idea. But all you gotta do is just take off the banner. That's all we have to do. Anyway, that's the end of this one. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to leave a comment letting me know what you think of this and what you think of how I've rated it. And appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time, fuckers. Bye.